Good evening, Sports and GT Master Series race fans. Welcome to the series finale, the season finale of season number 5, the final round at Sports and GT Master Series, coming to you live from the SEBRING International Raceway from the USA. Track length 5.79 kilometers, temperature out there 19 degrees, and we're just 19 meters above sea level. Joining you, Mike Sight, this evening, FC Nivote, for this final round. And the man behind the buttons this evening, Gary. We've managed to pull something off here. It's not often we get Gary to be quiet, but the big fella not feeling too well, so he's just taking care of the production side. And unfortunately, Frankie Yenna's unable to join us this evening as well. So you'll be listening to my voice bringing you the action here at the final round of the Sports and GT Master Series. Cars that will be racing out there tonight, the Audi 90 GTO. A nice little bit of old school race car out there this evening that the guys will be taking to the circuit with. You are at the final round here, and it is a qualifying, 10 minutes qualifying out on circuit. And the first man that is out there is car number 45, and that is Mike Verrier. That'll be putting up the first time, or doing his exploratory lap, and then the guys will be coming out one after the other in their cars. Next man out there, we've got Graham Stephen in that car of his. That is the number 1 Rothmans Audi. He is out there doing his warm-up lap. How you get it done, you take one lap around, then your timing starts. Car number 2, that is Leonardo Beccari in the Nationwide Audi. He'll be looking to be competitive out there this evening. Ian Riddle is also out there, this time around in the Playboy coloured car number 3, and that is Ian Riddle that will be making his way around. Car number 4, Jägermeister, that is Robbie Teams, the comeback kid, that will be making his way around the circuit. Will be starting to post times pretty soon. Peter Hubert out there in the 777 Pennzoil Audi. And he was looking very, very racy out there during the practice sessions. One of the fastest guys out there during practice. So let's see where he ends up in a qualifying. Yeah, you've got 4 minutes to do 2 laps. That is what it will take you to do 2 laps around the Sebring. So there's plenty of time left out there for the guys to do their warm-up laps and qualifying. Next man out there is the 304. That is Francois Hubert, one of the top point scorers this season in the Sports and GT Master Series. Next out there in the Tic Tac 67, that is JJ Johannes van der Merwe, who's out there in that bright green Audi 90 GTO. Next car out there, Willem Pinaar, car number 57, obviously Castrol, the sponsor on that Audi. That is a name and a sponsor we always put together, Willem Pinaar and Castrol. And the next car will be car number 20, Lucky Strike, British American racing there. That is Stephen McCarthy, not out in his regular colour scheme this evening. Next up is the Monster Energy car there of Johan Fourie, one of our ex-champions out there in a car number 14. And then the next one, car number 12, the man leading the points charge. That is the Momo Racing Audi of Luke Lucchesi. Peter van der Spey, well, he was unsure if he was going to make it out here due to Eskom having a say in his power affairs. But car number 13 is out on circuit doing his warm-up laps, and that is Peter van der Spey out there with Herman Lazarus in car number 15 in a very un-Herman Lazarus-like colour scheme this evening. Out in the Audi colours, that is Herman Lazarus. And then last but not least, car number, the 15th contestant out there this evening, Sandro Beccari, out also in a Jägermeister sponsored Audi in a car number 72. So that's all the guys that are out there. We should be seeing some times appearing pretty soon. There we go. We see Graham Stephen in his final sector. They're going to start putting up some lap times there now. Some quick times taking place out there. As I said, that Graham Stephen went pole position 159.5. Francois Hubert currently in second. Luke Lucchesi only third fastest with a 2 minute 2 minute 0 seconds and 5/10 of a second. Johan Fourie out there in that fourth position at this stage of the fight. Robbie Teams currently fifth with a 2 minute 8.823. Then Sandro Beccari is out there in that sixth position. He's about 1.6 seconds down from the lead pace, but he is about 0.3 of a second down from Robbie Teens. Lazarus currently holding that 7th position as he works his way around in the Audi. And the next man out there, Mike Veria, car number 45. He's 1.7 seconds off the pole position time at this stage of the fight, held there by Graham Stephen. Peter Hubert, like I said, he was looking very racy out there during a practice and still finding his feet there with the Pennzoil 777 Audi as he works his way around here in qualifying, currently in that 9th position, with Peter van der Spey currently in 10th place with a 2-minute 1.595. That is good enough for 10th position at this stage of the fight. Ian Riddle, 11th, with a 2-minute 1.650, and Willem Pinaar out there in 12th, and JJ van der Merwe in 13th position. Will anybody be able to beat Graham Stephen to the line? We saw a 159.5 during the practice sessions from one of our top guns out there, and we'll have to see if anybody can improve that. Riding on board there with Ian Riddle, who is currently in 11th position. As he putting up the time, I see Graham Stephen putting up purple sectors as he works his way around the circuit. But you're now riding on board with Willem Pinaar in the Castrol car. He would desperately want to improve on that 2 minutes 1.736 as he works his way around Sebring International. Graham Stephen, it looks like he went faster. Graham Stephen has gone faster with a 159.4. Peter Hubert has broken the 159 mark as well. He's gone up into second with a 159.723. That is 1/100th of a second faster than Francois Hubert, who's worked his way into that 3rd position. Johan Fourie has leapfrogged Luc Lucchesi with a 159.787. And then we've got the likes there of Lucchesi in that 5th place, who also went sub 2 minutes, even though it is by 1/1000th of a second, basically, out there for Lucchesi. He's a 1.59.999. Let's see, we are riding on board with Johan Fourie. Still got to put up some times here as he works his way around the circuit here. 7 minutes done in this qualifying session. Let's have a look. Can Fourie improve on that time and work his way up the field? Can anybody dethrone Graham Stephen, who's done a phenomenal job this time around in these Audis to sit up there in a 159.410 on pole position? Tonight's racing, of course, a 45-minute race. Drive-through penalty drive-throughs will be given for every 17 errors. 3 fast repairs with a rolling start, and you can start with 60 liters of fuel with 1 pit stop out there for the guys. Is that one mandatory pit stop, I would suggest, or I would assume. So let's have a look here and see what you guys can do. Graham Stephen, and to catch, 159.410. Bad, 159.723. Not a lot in it between these guys at this stage of the fight as they battle it out here. Just under 2 minutes to go in qualifying. A couple of people looking to still try and improve. Lucchesi desperately trying to improve. He does. He goes one up on Johan Fourie. He goes a 159.743 into that 4th position as Lucchesi then stops it out there. He's done his 2 laps. Stephen McCarthy joins the fray out there. He's in that 8th position with a 2-minute .904. Can anybody catch Graham Stephen? That is the big question. I doubt it because he's even gone faster, a 159.130. That's half a second faster than Peter Hubert, who's currently in that 2nd position. Riding on board there with car number 20, that is Stephen McCarthy. Let's have a look. Can anybody improve? Graham Stephen is on a purple sector. 2 purple sectors he'd had there. But we are riding on board with Stephen McCarthy working his way around Sebring. Let's go to Graham Stephen out there, who's busy doing a phenomenal job. He's doing personal bests. He's doing overall best sectors out there. So Graham Stephen looks like he's on another stonker of a lap, but he parks it. Decides to park it. He says he's done enough. He is more than half a second faster than a 2nd place man at this stage of the fight. His biggest competition in terms of the championship standings is only in that 4th position, and he's parked that car already as well. And there we see Sandro Bakari. He's parked it in pit lane. Ian Riddle's parked it in pit lane. Willem Pinaar won't be improving on that time either. So that is their provisional starting positions in that 12th and 13th positions. Anybody else out there that is still going? No, that is it. Qualifying is over, and that is your 10 minutes done and dusted. And Graham Stephen is the man that will take pole position here in the final round of season number 5 of the Sports and GT Masters Series, coming to you from Sebring International Raceway. Graham Stephen, pole position. Peter Hubert alongside him on row number 1. Row number 2 says François Hubert in that third slot with Luke Lucchesi alongside him. Johan Fourie starts in P5 with Robbie Tings alongside him. Peter van der Spey in 7th and Stephen McCarthy rounding off row number 4. Herman Lazarus is out there in row number 5. Sandra Bakari lining up alongside him. And in row number 6, Mike Verrier starts in that 11th position with Ian Riddle in 12th with Willem Pinaar, JJ van der Merwe and Leonardo Bakari rounding off your 15 qualifiers here for the final round of the Sports and GT Masters Series. All of the guys out there in Audis, the Audi 90 GTO, classic old school race cars, and I believe we are in for a massive race here this evening. It will be a rolling start, so as the guys make their way to the grid, we will be seeing them as soon as they are all lined up. We'll see that whole group rolling off the line, making their way to the start-finish line to get this race underway. For those of you watching the live stream, if you want to, who's not there yet, if you look at the grid on the left-hand side, those in the grey colour, those are the drivers who have not lined up yet. So at this stage of the fight, Luke Lucchesi and JJ van der Merwe in position number 4 and 14. Those are the two drivers. There we go. There is Luke. Now we're just waiting for JJ van der Merwe to line up in that tic-tac sponsored Audi. And then we'll get them off the line. Get things underway here. Sports and GT Master Series, final round of season number 5. Sebring International Raceway, of course, a legendary raceway there in the United States, based at an old World War II airfield in between the two landing strips. As the pace car rolls off the line, we'll get all those Audis going and work their way to a rolling start here. Sebring International Raceway circuit. Ooh, JJ van der Merwe doing a pit lane start. That's interesting. First time I see that. Okay. So with the things with iRacing, we suspect he couldn't make it to the grid in time. So he'll be starting from the pit lane. So he's got to wait for everybody to come barreling down that main straight across the start-finish line, past the pit exit. And only then can he slot in behind them. That's going to be costly for JJ's race in this one. But like we were saying, the circuit here started in 1950 after the Second World War, based at a World War II training airfield. And 9 years later, it was the host to the first ever United States Formula One Grand Prix before it moved over to Watkins Glen. So let's have a look what is going to happen here in this final round, as it is the Titans of Titans, the champions of champions, battling it out here for top honours. Points going into tonight's race: Luke Lucchesi on 256, Johan on 213. Peter Hubert has done exceptionally well this season. He is currently in 3rd on 188. Graham Stephen in 4th on 185. Just 3 points between Hubert and Stephen, and then François Hubert on 164, with double points available this evening for the season finale of Sports and GT Master Series. Ons gaan iets hier anders probeer hier vanaand, vir die van julle wat nou nie verstaan wat ons sê nie. Ons gaan 'n bietjie Afrikaans probeer, as die manne dan hulle pad daar omwerk om die Sebring internasionale renbaan, met die paskar daar aan die voorkant en hierdie klomp pragtige Audis, hierdie old school Audis wat hier oplyn. Dit is al vir Graham Stephen op pole posisie, Peter Hubert aan sy buitekant, François Hubert, Luke Lucchesi, Johan Fourie, die hele pakkie is daarso, en ons sien uit na opwindende wedrenne hier in hierdie finale ronde. 15 van hulle uit op die baan, of 14 van hulle nou uit op die baan. JJ van der Merwe wat gaan van die agterkant van die veld af met wegspring uit die Kuipe area uit, en hy gaan met baie hard werk om deur die pak te kom. Is 'n baie kompeterende pak hierdie, en dit gaan 'n baie moeilike tyd wees daar vir hom. Guys making their way through the second to last corner as they make their way onto the Almond Straight, heading towards Sunset Bend before we get this race underway. As you can see on your track map to the right of the screen, that's where they are now, right at the bottom. That is your final straight before you get to the final corner known as Sunset Bend, before they can see that start-finish line where JJ van der Merwe is waiting for them eagerly to get this race started. Making their way past the sector dot there before we get this race underway. You can see why it is called Sunset Bend, as the sun is busy setting over SEBRING International Raceway. It casts that corner in a beautiful golden glow onto the main straight. They go out of turn. There's number 17. The green flag will be going out. There we go. It's racing time in the final round of Sports and GT Master Series. Looking back from Graham Stephen, Peter Hubert is right there by him, Luc Lucchesi, Johan Fourie and Franz Hubert, all three side by side coming down the main straight. Beautiful shot coming out of turn number 1 there, and that is Graham Stephen that leads them out there. Behind Stephen, Peter Hubert, then Lucchesi. Let's have a look here what Johan Fourie did. It's a replay. There was contact between Fourie. Was that Fourie and Hubert that possibly made contact there? I'm not too sure there, but that's going to be very costly for Johan Fourie's race. The man currently lying second in the championship. He needed to be up there. He needs to finish ahead of Luke to have any chance to win this season of Sports and GT Master Series. Then we've got behind them, we had Luc Lucchesi, Franz Hubert, Robbie Teens, Van der Spey, McCarthy, Verrier, Bakari. Then Ian Riddle is out there in that 10th position, followed by Pinar, Fourie, Bakari, Lazarus, and JJ van der Merwe. But this is your race leader, already starting to pull a slight gap. That is Graham Stephen in car number 1 as they make their way towards turn number 13. That is the Tower as they work through there. Luc Lucchesi currently sitting in 3rd position, right on the tail fin of that Audi ahead of him of Peter Hubert. Luc Lucchesi is going to want to work his way up the field pretty quickly. He's got a comfortable lead in the championship, but he knows Johan Fourie will be working his magic from that 10th position, trying to gain as many positions as possible. Peter Hubert currently in that 2nd position, doing exceptionally well throughout the season. I just mentioned to Gary off-air how quick Peter Hubert has been this season, and the points reflect it. The man is lying 3rd overall in the championship on 188 points, and he's doing a stellar job to try and maintain that lead. There's only 3 points difference between Graham Stephen and Peter Hubert, and with double points up for grabs, Peter Hubert cannot afford to be anywhere less than 1 position behind Graham Stephen. Replay here of Johan Fourie up on the inside there of Willem Pinar, making his way into that corner. Beautiful passing maneuver there for Johan Fourie as he works his way around one of the Jägermeister cars. I think that was Sandro Bakari that he passed out there, and has managed to gain 2 positions in a case of 2 to 3 corners. But back to Franz Hubert, the man currently sitting in that 4th position in car number 304, the Audi coloured Audi Quattro 90 GTO, as these guys battle it out there. These guys settling into their positions, not gaining massively on each other, not losing too much time either, as Robbie Teens finds himself in that 5th position in almost a kind of no man's land if you look at how these Audis are spaced out there. Then Franz Hubert currently in 4th position. He's in that train behind Luc Lucchesi and Peter Hubert as this race counts down here for the final round of Sports and GT Master Series. Franz Hubert just hanging in there. The guys all starting on 60 litres of fuel. Or they say you can. You don't have to. You can start with up to 60 litres of fuel. So obviously your strategy and all of that can come into play. We're expecting a minimum of 1 pit stop to at least refuel. But how these guys will do it remains to be seen. I wonder if anybody did fuel light, try and be as quick as possible in the opening stint, a bit longer in the final stint, or are we going to see very similar pit stop strategies from these guys out there? We are on lap number 2. This is a 5 mile long circuit. The original circuit was 5 miles long, but the circuit that we're racing on today is still quite long. It's 3.6 miles, 5 kilometers is what you can see as the guys make their way onto the main stretch towards turn number 1. That is the route where the Francois Hubert has at the back end there of his fastest lap so far there by Francois Hubert, a 1:59.547. So he's not. It doesn't look like he's doing much, but he's actually the fastest man out there at the moment. Is Francois Hubert in that 4th position. So you'll find that he'll be gaining on Lucchesi there, even though the times don't reflect it as much. But Hubert definitely on some form of attack here as he put up that fastest time. The race leader off into the distance, Graham Stephen. He's 1 second ahead there of Peter Hubert in second. Hubert cannot take it easy whatsoever. Luke Lucchesi's only half a second down the road from him, and that's what half a second looks like, because that's the red and yellow car right there behind Hubert, and then another half a second, or 3/10 of a second now, is Francois Hubert just off the back bumper there of Luke Lucchesi. That whole group is about 3 seconds ahead of 5th place man Robbie Teens. Is it Teens almost in a kind of a no man's land, because the closest guy to him is 2.5 seconds down the road. That's Peter van der Spey, who's currently in that 6th position, but he's got Stephen McCarthy right on his tail. McCarthy half a second behind him, starting to apply a little bit of pressure there on the back bumper of Peter van der Spey. Behind McCarthy, Mike Verrier currently finds himself in that 8th position. He's 3.5 seconds down the road from McCarthy. And then Ian Riddle, 1.3 seconds down in car number 3. That's the view from McCarthy's car back towards the likes of Mike Verrier, who's 3.3 seconds. That's what 3.3 seconds look like in these Audis. Quite a bit of a gap between McCarthy and... more bad luck for Johan Fourie. He got tagged there by somebody. Pick up who that was, but somebody tagged the back there of Johan Fourie. So Fourie having a dismal race out there in terms of luck. Let's have a look as he makes his way past Robbie Teens. That is Johan Fourie working his way back up the field. Was that then a Teens? Yeah, that was Robbie Teens that just plowed into the back of Johan Fourie. That was interesting. Trying to pick up on most of the incidents here, our producer Gary Fleming, without a voice this evening. These awesome camera shots in this iRacing series that we have the privilege of commentating and broadcasting to you all across the world, and especially to the guys down here in the Western Cape. Luke Lucchesi, the man in car number 12, the Momo Audi Quattro out there in that 3rd position, slightly starting to gain there on Peter Hubert, but not doing anything spectacular at this stage of the fight to claim his stake. But he gets closer now. It's down to 3/10 of a second now. It drops back down to 4/10 as Lucchesi is constantly yo-yoing back and forth there behind Hubert, and along with him he's pulling in that Audi of Francois Hubert. The two of them applying mountains and mountains of pressure there on Peter Hubert. Hubert just not paying any attention. He's riding his own race. He's looking at Graham Stephen ahead of him. He wants to catch Stephen, try and score Graham Stephen to ensure that he solidifies his 3rd position in this championship. Francois Hubert wat homself daar op die stadium in die 4de posisie bevind. Hy sit daar agter Luke Lucchesi. Die manne wat daar gekry daar is op die 3de en 4de posisie. Francois Hubert wat nou baie naby is, net 2/10 van 'n sekonde tussen Hubert en Lucchesi. Hy's besig om nader te kom. Dis nou af na 1. Nou weer terug na 2/10 toe. Hubert besig om skuwe te maak hierso as hy dink hy is vinniger as Lucchesi. Hy gaan nou begin nader klim. 'n Baie interessante lyn wat hy kies om te ry daar agter Luke Lucchesi. Effens 'n weierlyn as hulle daar in die hoofpyl vlak afgaan nou in die rigting van draai nommer 1. Is dit Francois Hubert wat nou daar sit agter Luke Lucchesi. Lucchesi wat bietjie begin terugval agter Peter Hubert, maar die vinnigste rondetyd wat weer opgestel word daar deur die voorloper Graham Stephen 1:59.4 is daai vinnigste rondetyd wat opgestel is daar deur Graham Stephen. Francois Hubert just biding his time, now starting to drop back from the back end there of Lucchesi as they make their way through a big bend. That is turn number 6. Most Formula 1 circuits that will just be called a slightly bent straight, but they refer to that as a bend, big bend. Turn number 6 heading towards the hairpin. That's where they're going in now. And then let's have a look here. What's happening with Stephen McCarthy? McCarthy starting to gain on the back end there of Peter van der Spey. It's just 4/10 of a second. Now it's down to 3/10 of a second between those two. McCarthy on the move out there in P7 as he's trying to stay attached to the back end there of Peter van der Spy to try and make it up into that 6th position. Stephen McCarthy sawing away at the steering wheel, but let's have a look at Mike Verrier. He's currently there in that 8th place, 3.9, almost 4 seconds down from McCarthy, and he is also in pretty much a no man's land as he's about 1.8 seconds ahead there of this car, the Playboy Audi of Ian Riddle. Ian Riddle 1.3 seconds ahead there of a 10th place man, Sandra Bakari. Bakari having a good time out there, and he is 1.4 seconds 3 seconds ahead there of Johan Fourie. Johan Fourie busy working his way back up through the field. He had 2 horrible incidents where he got bumped and side-swiped and all kinds of things, and dropped the horse to the back of the field. But this man, he must get an award for taking on pressure this season. Peter Hubert has gained so much speed and confidence in the races out there. He's done so well, and he's doing so well in this race, absorbing all this pressure. Look how close Lucchesi is getting now. It's 3/10 of a second. Francois Hubert is getting closer there to the back end of Lucchesi as well. This is going to be a race-long battle here between these guys, and it's all going to come down to pit strategy or forcing somebody into a mistake, because there's not a lot in between these guys for that 2nd, 3rd and 4th position. Looking back there from Hubert in 2nd towards the car of Lucchesi. That gap that you see there, that is only 3/10 of a second. That's how close it is between these guys. One wrong move, putting one wheel off the circuit onto the grass, will cost you not 1 but 2 places in this battle out here for that 2nd and 3rd. Lucchesi on the move, it's down to 2/10. Now it's 1/10 of a second between the two of them. Lucchesi was right and they're tucked in underneath that back bumper of that Audi 90 of Peter Hubert. Hubert just hanging on there, absorbing all the pressure. He must, I'm going to call him Sponge from now, because he's just absorbing. Brilliant fight out there for 2nd, 3rd and 4th. And this is good news for Graham Stephen, because Stephen knows that as long as Peter Hubert is occupied by the guys behind Peter Hubert, then Hubert won't be coming for that 1st position, because he's got to think and outmaneuver the guys behind him. Lucchesi bringing that Audi right up against that back bumper of Lucchesi, and now Hubert also in there. It's down to 2/10, down that long last straight they go, heading towards turn number 17. That is a Sunset Bend that they make their way through now, heading towards underneath the bridge. They'll go onto the main straight. Onto the main straight they go now. That is Graham Stephen driving off into the sunset there, literally. And then we've got Peter Hubert in 2nd. Lucchesi, who's now 2/10 of a second behind the likes there of Hubert, with Francois Hubert tucking right. Lucchesi's going to go for the inside line. Oh, Hubert just closes that off in time, and Hubert lives to fight another day. Brilliant stuff out there between the top guys here for the championship. That is your 3rd place in the championship, battling it out with 1st place in the championship. You got the 4th place in the championship leading the race. You got the 5th place in the championship laying in 4th position, and you got your 2nd place in the championship all the way down the log there in 11th position. So looks like somebody having a bit of connectivity issues there. That could be Lucchesi having slight connectivity issues there, but he is still on the attack. It's just hovering there around 2 to 3/10 of a second. All of a sudden he just makes up that gap and closes up right on that back bumper of Luke Lucchesi, of Peter Hubert. Let's go through the log as they are right there. Robbie Teens in that 5th position. Like I said, all on his lonesome there, but can't take it easy too much, because Peter van der Spy currently sits there behind him in that 6th position in car number 13. Behind him, Stephen McCarthy is out there in car number 20. The Lucky Strike car sitting in the 7th position. Now, 4 seconds down the road, you'll find this man. That is car number 45, Mike Verrier, out there in that 8th position. He is now under a second ahead there of Ian Riddle. Ian Riddle starting to pick up the pace there as he's now creeping closer and closer there to Mike Verrier. Behind him, Sandro Bakari in that 10th position in the Jägermeister car. That is a second between them. Johan Fourie is 8 seconds down the road in P11 car number 14. Points for the season for Johan Fourie at the stage of the fight, 213. And it looks like he might not be able to make up the points needed to catch up to log leader Luke Lucchesi. Behind Fourie, Willem Pinaar is out there. He's a second behind Fourie in car number 57. And then another 8 seconds down the road is Leonardo Bakari in car number 2. JJ van der Merwe and Herman Lazarus at the back end of this field. But the battle up here for second, third and fourth is so tight. Peter Hubert just has got his hands full with the two guys behind him. Lucchesi is tucked in underneath that Audi's front wing. Underneath Lucchesi's back wing, it is Hubert, as the three of them are right there by each other. Hubert starting to fall back ever so slightly as Lucchesi is getting closer and closer to the back end there of Peter Hubert. Hubert dropping back from a race leader Steven slightly, is down to 2.2 seconds now, but Lucchesi is the man on the hunt. He can smell blood. He knows if he applies enough pressure, he can force Hubert into a kind of a mistake to try and make up a position there. But Hubert is doing an exceptional job. He's keeping his calm, keeping his cool, and he maintains that gap between them at about 2 to 3 tenths of a second. Oh, we've been watching the action there ahead of, or between Peter Hubert, Luke Lucchesi in front of Hubert so much. We've actually forgotten about this guy. This is Graham Stephen, everybody, for those of you who have forgotten what his car looks like. That is Stephen, but Lucchesi has made the move behind him. Lucchesi has gone up into second position, and he brought Francois Hubert with him. A mistake there by Peter Hubert, ran it slightly wide through the corner, and that's opened the door there for not one but two cars to come through. Let's have a look and see what happened here. Yeah, just got it off. Just it almost looked like he got bogged down coming out of the corner, and that just opened the door there for Lucchesi and Francois Hubert to make their way up into second and third position as Graham Stephen puts up another fastest lap, 1 minute 59.3 at this stage of the fight. That is your fastest lap of the race so far. Let's have a look here and see what Ian Riddle did. Ew, he just got those right-hand wheels onto the grass, and that sent that Audi Quattro into a sideways spin going into that left-hander. Now the question is, can Lucchesi go and make up that 2.8 seconds to try and catch Graham Stephen? Peter Hubert already starting to lose ground between the guys. There we see that different view of the passing maneuver. Once again, you can just see must have missed a gear or just got completely bogged down coming out of the corner, and those other two Audis just came flying up the inside and made that look made it look easy without it making it look easy. Is Luke Lucchesi and Francois Hubert. But Lucchesi and Hubert already starting to pull away from Peter Hubert. Hubert now already 1.2 seconds behind them, but Francois Hubert keeping Luke Lucchesi very honest at this stage. The other closest battle at this stage of the fight, Willem Pinaar getting awfully close to the back end there of Johan Fourie. It looks like the two of them are having a brilliant dice out there for 11th and 12th position. Johan Fourie in 11th, Willem Pinaar out there in car number 57. He was up to about 1/10 of a second between himself and Fourie, as Fourie is having his hands full with that Monster Energy Audi. But oh, here's a quicker battle here between Lucchesi and Francois Hubert. Hubert was almost alongside Lucchesi at one stage, so it almost looks like Hubert has held back and has held some in reserve up until this point. But he's bringing Peter Hubert with him as well, so I wonder if Lucchesi didn't make a mistake this time around, because, hard on the brakes, they all go for turn number one, is Lucchesi from Francois Hubert, from Peter Hubert. Hubert has all of a sudden, both Huberts have all of a sudden picked up the pace. Look at that, Peter Hubert just monstrously late on the brakes as he tries to stay there with the guys ahead of him. Lucchesi in that second place now, Francois Hubert 3/10 of a second behind Lucchesi. Peter Hubert 5/10 behind him, and this is going to be, I said it earlier, this is going to be a race-long battle between these three guys for second, third and fourth. At this stage of the fight, it doesn't look like anybody is in a position to battle Graham Stephen for the lead. Nobody's been to the pits just yet, so I wonder when we'll be seeing the pit strategies play out, usually around about 25 minutes into the race. But Peter van der Spy is on the move as he's right behind Robbie Teens for that 5th position. Teens 8.5 seconds behind Hubert McCarthy, or van der Spy, shall I say, is rather 0.6 of a second behind Robbie Teens and applying a lot of pressure to try and get his nose up on the inside there. But Robbie Teens, the comeback kid, he's not known to give up a fight, and he's going to have to. He's going to make Peter van der Spy work very, very hard to try and make up that position. Peter Hubert on the attack. He's brought that gap to Francois Hubert back down to 0.3 of a second. The Pennzoil Audi 90 GTO being a very, very quick around the circuit. You're going down the Ullman Straight towards the Sunset Bend, the final turn of Sebring International. As they make their way around that corner underneath the bridge, they'll go into Sunset Bend. You can see that nice golden glow from the sunset before they make their way onto the main straight and across the start-finish line. It is Stephen, again the fastest lap, 159.252, ahead there of Lucchese's 159.533. Look at the lines. Peter Hubert is racing, try and make up as much possible time to catch up to the guys ahead of him. No big movers and shakers at this stage of the fight, as most of the guys that have had big position gains are around about 2 gains. The biggest gainer at this stage of the fight, Mike Verrier, that has gained 3 positions. The biggest loser at this stage of the fight is Johan Fourie in car number 14, and he's in the pit lane. Fourie is in the pit lane. That is a very early stop there for Johan Fourie. And another one coming in, JJ van der Merwe comes into the pit lane in the Tic Tac car as he makes his way into the pit lane. 2 cars into the pit lane. I wonder if they've got damage that they want to fix and then going to do their pit stop along with that, or if they've just got damage that they want to fix. It'll be interesting to see what they do with those pit stops. Back up into the race, and it was Robbie Teens who has lost a position there to Peter van der Spy. Van der Spy has done that passing maneuver, and I wonder if we can try and get of that from our producers. And it will be nice to see how Peter van der Spy managed to pull that one off as he's worked his way up into P5, gaining that position on Robbie Teens. Ahead of them, Francois Hubert also still very close there on Lucchese, and Peter Hubert not really allowing them to escape just yet. Still very, very close out there between Peter van der Spy and Robbie Teens. Robbie Teens not allowing van der Spy to run away from him after making that passing maneuver. It's still hovering at about a half a second between the two of them. But Peter van der Spy would want to move and catch up to the likes there of Peter Hubert. I wonder if there was a major tussle between the two of them, because just before they were, Robbie Teens was 8 seconds behind Peter Hubert. Now all of a sudden, here we go, that's the passing maneuver Van der Spy did on Robbie Teens. Nice clean passing maneuver up on the inside, but Robbie Teens tries to fight back, and while they were fighting that out, it seems that they've lost some time in the guys ahead of them. They've lost about 3 seconds to the guys ahead of them, but you can bet your bottom dollar Van der Spy will be moving to try and make up that ground and catch back up. They're already 10.9 seconds now, so Van der Spy already attempting to get closer to die man aan die voorkant, Graham Stephen, wat hierdie wedren lei in die Rothmans Audi 90 GTO. Aan die voorkant van hierdie wedren 4 sekondes besig om verder en verdere gaping te trek op die manne agter hom. Die man in die tweede posisie daar, Luc Lucchese, wat in groot moeilikheid is van Francois Hubert, wat saam met hom net 'n druk toegepas het op Peter Hubert, is nou besig om druk net op hom toe te pas en is besig om 'n baie goeie werk af te doen, want hulle hou vir Lucchese so besig. Lucchese kan nie ry om vir Graham Stephen te probeer gaan inhaal nie, want daai gaping tussen Stephen en Lucchese wat steeds besig is om te groei met Francois Hubert en Peter Hubert wat daar agter Luc Lucchese sit en druk nou op hom begin toepas. Pieter van der Spy, hy vind homself daar in die 5de posisie in kar nommer 13, 11,5 sekondes agter Peter Hubert en omtrent 'n sekonde daar voor kar nommer 4 is Robbie Teens in die Jägermeister Audi 90 GTO. Dan 3.8 sekondes agter hulle in die 7de posisie Stephen McCarthy in die Lucky Strike nommer 20 en dan is vir Mike Verrier in die 45 kar daar in die 8ste posisie. Sandra Bakari in kar nummer 72, ook Jägermeister borg op hom. Hy is 3 sekondes agter Mike Verrier en 7.6 sekondes voor kar nummer 3 van Ian Riddle. Willem Pinaar is so 8 sekondes daar agter Riddle in die 11de posisie met Leonardo Bakari omtrent 12.8 sekondes agter Pinaar daarso. In die Kuipe area nog steeds JJ van der Merwe, Johannes van der Merwe. So ek wonder of daai probleme, groot meganiese probleme was daar vir JJ van der Merwe, dat hy nog steeds daar in die Kuipe area vassit. Working their way along the turn number 5, heading towards Big Bend. That is Luke Lucchesi being chased down there by Francois Hubert as they're going to head towards the hairpin as they come out of Big Bend onto that straight towards turn number 7. Under braking is where you're going to have to try and catch Luke Lucchesi, but Lucchesi is so stable under braking. You're going to have to catch him really asleep to try and make a move like that, as Francois Hubert, the only wheelman who's really close enough to any kind of attack. He's hovering at about 2, 3, 4 tenths of a second between himself and Lucchesi. Peter Hubert is just not there, just not at maintaining that pressure. He was so good at absorbing all that pressure, but not that good at maintaining it. Leonardo Bakari into the pits now in car number 2. The nationwide car heading into the pits. And it is now around about 25 minutes, so that is where we expect to start seeing some of the cars coming in for their pit stops. So it won't be far now that we see big hitters coming in for those pit stops. Imagine that there will be one of these guys will be down here first, because they've been hammering the throttle there to attack and try to get past one another. Graham Stephen is taking his time, doing nothing spectacular, doing nothing wild, just keeping his calm, keeping his cool, and keeping that number 1 Rothmans Racing Audi in that first position. And there he goes, into the pits goes our race leader, Graham Stephen, as the rest of the pack will now come barreling past. That now hands the race lead to Lucchesi, with Hubert and both Huberts moving up into 2nd and 3rd, as Graham Stephen plants that Rothmans Audi into the pits. Who will be going in next? Peter van der Spey goes into the pit lane, as does Robbie Teams. Stephen McCarthy makes his way into the pit lane as well. Mike Verrier dives into the pits right there behind the likes there of Stephen McCarthy. Sandra Bakari dives into the pit lane. Will Ian Riddle go in as well? Yeah, Riddle goes into the pits as well. Will Willem Pinaar go into the pits? Looks like what's he going to do? He pulls into the right-hand side there, and he does go into the pits as everybody starts filtering out. Graham Stephen at the pit exit already. And that is Graham Stephen's pit stop done and dusted. And you'll probably find when the other guys do come in for their pit stops, Graham Stephen is done. He'll have made his way past them. Johan Fourie, he's been into the pits. Now, I don't know if it was for a repair or if it was for an early pit stop to go longer in this final stint. So, yeah, that could be that they fixed up the damage there. But we'll have to see if he took on fuel during that pit stop as well. It'll be interesting to see how that plays out in strategies out here. So Johan Fourie's just gone past the pit entrance, so he's definitely not going into the pits. That is Ian Riddle making his way through turn number 1 as Willem Pinaar comes out of the pits in the Castrol Racing Audi, car number 57. His pit stop done and dusted as well. Now, let's have a look at this Francois Hubert on the attack. It's down to 2/10 of a second down that longer back straight into the final corner, turn number 17. Will any of them peel off into the pits? It looks like, yeah, there they go. The top 3 all dive into the pits. Lucchesi, Hubert, all 3 make their way into the pits. Now it's going to be an interesting game to see who's going to short fuel and make their way back out. And will Graham Stephen make his way back onto that straight before the end of their pit stops? There he is. If you look on your screen, car number 4, there he goes down that long back straight into the final corner. He'll go now. That's at turn number 17, Sunset Bend. He's going to be working his way. We see a car working his way into turn number 1. That's one of the back markers. All the other cars still stationary, so it looks like Graham Stephen might have done enough He was 4 seconds ahead before he dove into the pits. You see movement in the pits. Car number 1 already moving. Lucchese drops down as here comes your race leader into turn number 1. That is Graham Stephen, and retakes the lead of this race. And Francois Hubert has made it out ahead of Luke Lucchese. Lucchese is back down into 3rd, and Peter Hubert sitting there in that 4th position. Brilliant strategy. Hubert's going to dive for the inside. Lucchese takes the wide line. They're right by each other. Oh, Lucchese on the offensive, making that Audi very, very wide, and trying to stay ahead there of Peter Hubert. It looks like he's done enough out there on cold tyres. And Johan Fourie getting it almost a bit sideways going through that final corner. Let's have a look here. Something did happen because this is a replay. Hard on the brakes, locks up those front wheels. Oh, Johan Fourie not a happy chappy out there this evening in car number 14, Monster Energy car. Brilliant shot there of the guys making their way around the circuit here. Luke Lucchese in 3rd with Hubert behind him. But Graham Stephen showing them a masterclass on how it's done, planning your pit stop strategy just right. He's lost 3 seconds in it. He was 4 seconds ahead before he went into the pits, but the other guys obviously eking out a little bit more time, being a little bit lighter on the throttle, and managed to stay out just that 1 lap longer. Peter Hubert in that 4th position. He can hold his head high, but this 4th position might cost him that 3rd position in the championship. He was only 3 points ahead of Graham Stephen. Graham Stephen is leading the race at the moment, and there is double points up for grabs here today in this final round of the Sports and GT Master Series. We are 30 minutes into the race. Into the final 15 minutes we go, as Graham Stephen has done it all right so far. He hasn't put a foot wrong. He's made no mistakes out in the lead of this race. Francois Hubert, brilliant strategy. He was able to just apply enough pressure. Obviously could fuel just a little bit less than Lucchese, and made it out of the pits ahead there of Lucchese and into that 2nd position. Lucchese is now 2 seconds down the road from Francois Hubert, but he's still in the grasp there of Peter Hubert. And the slightest mistake from Lucchese could hand that 3rd position back to Peter Hubert. That is your front 4, all covered with a blanket, basically working their way through the turn number 6 big bend towards turn number 7, the hairpin. Pit stops done and dusted for all the guys out there. All 15 have been into the pits, and it's all out racing from here on out. Peter van der Spey finds himself in that 5th position, 16 seconds down from 4th place man Peter Hubert. But the closest battle behind him is for that 7th position, Mike Verrier, coming under fire there from Stephen McCarthy. McCarthy just 1/10 of a second behind the likes there of Mike Verrier in that 8th position. Now they're going to see a move now pretty soon. McCarthy almost made it through on the inside there of Mike Verrier. That was very, very close. They were almost side by side virtually if you look at the timing screen there between the Mike Verrier and Stephen McCarthy. There we are racing with him now. That's the replay. He actually made it past him ever so slightly, but then was on that outside line, and Mike Verrier in the 8-ball 24/7 45 Audi was able to get that position back, and then you see McCarthy dropping back a little bit once again. Behind them, the closest battle out there is between Herman Lazarus and Willem Pienaar. That one's hovering about half a second between the two of them for 12th and 13th position. That's how close it is between the guys right down the field. Leonardo Bakari and JJ van der Merwe is having a horrid time out there. Leonardo Bakari 54 seconds behind the 13th placed Willem Pienaar, and JJ van der Merwe another 11 seconds down the road from that. But Herman Lazarus having a time of his life out there. He's 9 seconds behind Johan Fourie, and almost a second ahead of Willem Pienaar, starting to pull away from Pienaar there to get a bit of a breathing space in his position. But back up to Mike Verrier and Stephen McCarthy. It looks like these two battling it out very, very hard at this stage of the fight. Mike Verrier still holding on to that 7th position. Stephen McCarthy applying a lot of pressure, and by the looks of it, Sandro Bakari looks like he is ready to get in on this action as well. Bakari taking that wide line. McCarthy taking that wide line. What happened to Francois Hubert? Oh, Hubert Hubert made a mistake coming out of that corner, ran it wide, got the right rear wheel onto that dirt, and that sent the Audi flying, and he's lost that second position and dropped all the way down into the round about 4th or 5th. All three got past that is the tic-tac of JJ van der Merwe that's in last position. So Franco Hubert having dropped all the way down to 4th. This will put a big smile on Peter Hubert's face as he needs every point he can try and cover that 3-point difference between himself and Graham Stephen. But I think at this stage of the fight, unless Peter makes it up into the second position, I think Graham Stephen has got enough points from this race to solidify that third position for the championship. Luke Lucchesi, he finds himself in that second position. There's no way that Johan Fourie is going to catch him in the championship from 11th position on the grid. So, and he had a sizable lead. There was about a 43-point lead ahead of Johan Fourie was Luke Lucchesi. So I would almost hazard a guess and say done and dusted for Lucchesi. He's taken the championship, even laying in second position in this race. Johan Fourie, has he done enough to maintain his second position? That's the other question, because mere 25 points behind him is Peter Hubert and Graham Stephen. So it'll be interesting to see where the points lie by the end of the season. Mike Verrier having his hands full there with Stephen McCarthy, and Sandro Bakari now joining the fight. He's right up on that back bumper of Stephen McCarthy is Sandro Bakari. Bakari now actually looking like he's challenging McCarthy. Now McCarthy can't attack the back of Verrier as Bakari is attacking the back end and side there of McCarthy. They're side by side, and it looks like Bakari, has he done enough? Not just yet. Bakari now putting a lot of pressure there on Stephen McCarthy. 9 minutes left in this race, the final race of season number 5 of Sports and GT Master Series, and it's all out war here for most of these guys. A lot of the positions on the log not settled just yet. There's some scores from the season not settled yet as the guys battle out. There's going to look at another passing maneuver here. Bakari goes late on the brakes, up on the inside. He attempts to make it, but McCarthy just on the better line and getting better traction as they come out of the corner. And McCarthy lives to see another day in that 8th position. There we go again, the second stumble, and it's Bakari that's up on the inside there of McCarthy, and Bakari's made his way up into 8th position. Will McCarthy try to come back at him? He tries to hang onto that back bumper, but just look at how Bakari pulls away. That is 0.3 of a second already there between the two of them, as Bakari now sets his sight there on Mike Verrier. He's going to go fetch the dock. Let's have a look at your drivers from the top down. Graham Stephen looks like he's got some connectivity issues out there, but he is the race leader. He is ahead there of Luke Lucchesi. Lucchesi finds himself in P1. There he is, making his way around the circuit. Here is Luke Lucchesi down the main straight, right on his tail. Half a second behind him is the second placed Peter Hubert, who is out there in that second place. Then Franco Hubert, he's dropped way down. That's 10 seconds now between Franco Hubert and Peter Hubert. I hope that's connectivity issues. Graham Stephen might be tumbling down to the order here, as he might fall victim here to Eskom. So that looks like we've actually lost Graham Stephen from this race. Oh, how sad is that? He's done nothing wrong, and Eskom comes and works him through the ears. I had to choose my words very carefully there now, as we are out live internationally on Second Gear Talk Show page. We're on the Sports and GT page and on YouTube in 1080K, or 1080p, shall I say. But yeah, hot racing action out there. Robbie Teens on the attack there behind Peter van der Spy. He's right on that back bumper of Peter van der Spy. You've seen the two of them that battled out there throughout this race, as well as Robbie Teens tries to make a move. He's right up alongside him, and he goes. Robbie Teens makes the passing maneuver around the outside of Peter van der Spy and reclaims that 4th position. Brilliant passing maneuver there by Robbie Teens as he made that maneuver on Peter van der Spy. Now we're back on board with Stephen McCarthy, who's trying to get his position back from Sandro Bakari. It is half a second between those two Audis as they work their way around the Sebring International Yeah, we just received a message here. Graham Stephen saying he's done nothing wrong. He ran out of battery power on his inverter system with 3 laps to go in this race. Can you believe it? The man was in a class of his own. Nobody was ever close to him, to challenging him, and being taken out here by the incompetence of Eskom in South Africa. But that has handed this win here to Luke Lucchesi, and that has solidified 3rd place in the season for Peter Joubert, I would say. Even opening the door for Peter Joubert to possibly move up into 2nd position if Johan Fourie doesn't make up any more positions on the log. There he is, that's the man I'm talking about, the 777 Pennzoil Audi there of Peter Joubert, currently 2nd in this race and unofficially 3rd in the championship. It could possibly even be a 2nd, depending on how the double points pan out here for these guys. Francois Joubert currently in 3rd. He made that mistake. He ran a bit wide. He worked his way up into 2nd through the pit stop phase of the race. Then made the mistake to run a bit wide, put the Audi in a sideways spin, and then dropped down all the way to 4th before making his way up into 3rd. Before Graham Stephen was knocked out of this race. Robbie Teams currently in that 4th position ahead there of Peter van der Spy, with the likes of van der Spy trying to stay stuck there to the back end of Robbie Teams. There he is, Peter van der Spy on your screen now, car number 13, that army grey colour Coors light car, trying to stay there by Teams. Behind him, Mike Verrier is about 5.96 seconds behind with Sandra Bakari in that 7th position. Stephen McCarthy, he's dropping down the field now as well, or dropping down time-wise, shall I say, behind Bakari. He is 3.4 seconds behind Bakari. Then Johan Fourie, 10 seconds down the road from McCarthy. That's a big ask to make up 10 seconds in 5 minutes of this race that is still left. But Fourie finds himself in that 9th place, 3 seconds ahead of Ian Riddle. Behind Riddle, it is the number 15 cheapercars.co.za and Audi colours car there of Herman Lazarus. He's 11 seconds down the road from the Playboy car of Ian Riddle, with Willem Pinaar another 4.6 seconds down the road in the 12th position, and JJ van der Merwe 1 minute and 5 seconds down in the Tic Tac car. He has his hands full with that car this evening, and Leonardo Bakari 3.2 seconds behind him in the nationwide number 2. That is your grid so far. The only car that we've lost is Graham Stephen. But here we have a battle between Peter van der Spy and Robbie Teens. Van der Spy went for that outside line, takes the long way around. Oh, his key luckily keeps it off the dirt. That is where we saw the likes of Francois Joubert lose it. Let's have a look here. What did Stephen McCarthy do? McCarthy took that Audi gardening a bit. I know it's 4x4, man, but it's not meant for that. Peter van der Spy in that 5th position, and he looked like he was challenging Robbie Teens. Robbie Teens not putting a foot wrong either. Let's have a look here. Sandra Bakari now gaining on Mike Verrier. He's made up 2 seconds out of nowhere. Wonder if Mike Verrier made a bit of a mistake somewhere, ran wide or something somewhere, because Sandra Bakari just made up 2.2 seconds out of literally nowhere as he's glued to that back bumper of Mike Verrier. We are on the last lap. The last lap times, 1 minute 59 there. But let's have a look at Mike Verrier and Sandra Bakari. They're virtually the same, just gaining 1/10 of a second faster. But somehow Bakari has made up in this lap. He's made up 2 seconds somewhere to catch up to the back end there of Mike Verrier. Basically 2.5 minutes left in this race, and that means we've got about another lap or so to go from your race leader. But Sandra Bakari is applying a lot of pressure. He's made up that time. He knows that Mike Verrier can possibly be forced into a mistake, and there we almost saw a mistake. Mike Verrier choosing a very interesting line there to try and confuse the likes of Bakari and to throw him off a bit. But Mike Verrier holding on to that 6th position. Doc racing his heart out there in 6th place. Peter van der Spy getting closer and closer to the back end there of Robbie Teens once again. 2 of them are battling it out as we see this fight going through the final corner. Turn number 17, Sunset Bend, and onto the main straight is Mike Verrier and Sandra Bakari. Not a lot in some of these positions there. Peter van der Spy less than a second behind Robbie Teens. and Sandra Bakari less than half a second there on Mike Verrier. We might see a move here from Bakari on a Verrier. They're side by side. Verrier decides to defend aggressively. Look at those two, back bumper and front bumper glued together. Sandra Bakari very, very racy, trying to get past the dock. We're going to see a lot of action from these two. I hope you don't see any tears from these two. Mike Verrier putting up the elbows, making it very difficult for Bakari. Bakari on that outside line. They're almost side by side going into the next turn. Oh, Bakari runs wide. He got the wheels on the grass, and that completely takes him out. Runs onto the run-off area. Now he's lost all that work. They say fortune favors the brave, but unfortunately the brave sometimes loses out as well. As we are in the final minute of this race, Luke Lucchesi working his way around a SEBRING International. That is the long back straight. If he, I think he'll start another lap before the end of this race. He works his way into turn number 17. There he goes, coming out of a Sunset Bend onto the main straight. There's about 15 seconds left in it. Let's have a look. I saw a flag waving there, but no. It has to continue. That's the white flag. So that is your last lap for race leader Luke Lucchesi and Peter Hubert. They are on their last laps. Francois Hubert will be making his way around the circuit now to start his last lap pretty soon in that third position. There he goes. That coming down the main straight there is Francois Hubert. Robbie Tings in fourth with Van der Spey, Verrier, Bakari, McCarthy, Fourie, Riddle, Lazarus, Pinar, Van der Merwe and Leonardo Bakari at the back of the field as we are on the final lap of the final round of Season 5 of the Western Province Sports and GT Masters Series on iRacing. And what a season it's been. It's had ups, it's had downs, it's had tragedy, it's had celebrations, and we are about to see another celebration happening out here as well as we head into the closing stages of this lap. Johan Fourie starting his last lap out in the Monster Energy. Not a happy chappy out there with how his race went today. Let's have a look here what happened to Ian Riddle in the number 3 Playboy car. Just got that back wheel onto the grass and that immediately sends it into a spin, and that'll be a very second-hand Audi will be trying to complete this race. But riding on board with your race leader, it is Luke Lucchesi making his way around the final couple of corners of the SEBRING International Raceway. There he is, going around turn number 16 now. That is Lamar Corner into the Ullman Straight as he makes his way towards turn number 17, the Sunset Bend. He's kept it in the right positions. He didn't do anything wrong, and this is a good win for him there. Peter Hubert can be very chuffed with himself as they make their way through the final corner. Hubert's going to go for the inside. He's side by side with Lucchesi. Can Hubert make a passing maneuver before the start-finish line? No, he cannot. Lucchesi takes the win, 1/10 of a second ahead of Peter Hubert. Hubert might just have moved up into second place in this championship. We won't know until they tabulate the points. Francois Hubert brings it home 11 seconds down the road in third. Fourth, who's it going to be? Robbie Tings or Peter Van der Spey as they work their way past the back mark of Leonardo Bakari. But it's Robbie Tings that'll go across the line, and car number 4 in fourth position. Peter Van der Spey will bring it home 2/10 of a second down the road. Then it is Mike Verrier that'll bring his Audi through in that sixth position, 2.8 seconds ahead of Sandro Bakari in the seventh position. Stephen McCarthy will be coming down the road there. He's 4 seconds down the road in 8th. Johan Fourie will bring the Monster Energy car home in 9th. Herman Lazarus, he's 19 seconds down the road. He is going to bring that car number 15 home in 10th position. As he works his way through a Sunset Bend now and back onto the main straight and across the line he'll go now to finish in 10th position. Willem Pinar, he's another 7 seconds down the road, works his way out of the final corner, and across the line goes Willem Pinar in 11th. Ian Riddle, the last man on the lead lap, 31 seconds, half a minute down the line in the Playboy Audi, working his way down that longer back straight, all on his lonesome in 12th position. Into Sunset Bend he goes. That car might not be handling the way he wants it after that impact with the wall. But through the final corner he comes, runs it very wide, nicks the tyre wall coming out of the final corner. But across the line he goes in 12th position ahead of JJ van der Merwe, Leonardo Bakari, and unfortunately Graham Stephen out of this one. That's it, folks. That wraps up season number 5. The final race of the season here in the Sports and GT Master Series from the Sebring International Raceway with the Audi and 1990 GTOs. Race winner, Luke Lucchesi. Brilliant win there for him. Peter Hubert, awesome drive in a P2 with Francois Hubert in 3rd. Robbie Teens in 4th, Van der Spey rounding off that top 5. Mike Verrio brought it home in 6th with Bakari, McCarthy, Fourie and Lazarus, your top 10. Willem Pinaar, Ian Riddle, JJ van der Merwe, Leonardo Bakari, your only finishers, and Graham Stephen went for supper, brought to you by Eskom. Well, folks, that wraps it up from us, and I'm going to hand the mic over to Gary just to try and croak up a couple of words here before he keels over. From our side, FC Nieuwoudt, it was brilliant joining you guys here for this final round, and we look forward to another exciting season in the Sports and GT series. From my side, good night.
Well, there we go, folks. 5 seasons of West Brom Sports and GT Masters. Amazing stuff. Looking forward to season number 6. What will it bring? What will it hold? Who knows? Mike Verrio, Sander Bakari will come up with different car driver combinations that will keep it very, very exciting, no doubt about it. From my side, Gary Fleming from Second Gear Productions, Second Gear Talk Show. It's been an honor and a pleasure to join you for the season, and keep an eye on Second Gear page, keep an eye on West Brom Sports and GT, keep an eye on SAI Racing for the latest updates on iRacing in South Africa. We'll be coming back to you on Sunday morning at 10 o'clock. South Africa versus New Zealand, the top 10 from the MSA GTE 2022 series, with the top 10 of the Sports and GT Masters going up against Mr. Darren Lobb and 19 of his best friends in iRacing down in New Zealand. That comes to you as South Africa versus New Zealand at 10 o'clock on Sunday morning. From my side, Gary Fleming, good night to you, one and all.